And Kathy is on. Kathy, you are on. Can you hear
Yay!
me? Good. So anyway, I just warmed up a little bit. We still have comments to roll in, but Kathy, you are an expert on personal branding and networking. You know so much about it. So let me hear. I mean, I'm always going to ask a lot of questions to you, but what are some of the things you would like to get into and really give the audience so they know some of the things they can expect here in the next, I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and share a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So first of all, thank you, Asger, so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here live on LinkedIn, and I'm hoping we have a good audience and we can interact. So I am an intercultural trainer. I work with internationals, highly skilled internationals, as well as companies, municipalities, and universities that are hiring them. My focus is on the professional part as well as more cultural and emotional part of people who are coming to Denmark, but also living all over the world. When we focus on the professional part, this is where personal branding, networking comes into play. And probably one of the most important things that I want to emphasize is that we do not realize how powerful a personal brand is for individuals. So I know that you and I have talked about this before, but I would love to get into a discussion here about why a personal brand is important and why a personal brand can be a very powerful tool, not just for people who already are out there and have a brand, sort of say, but also for all individuals who are in the professional field, all types of professional fields. And it's not just for business owners, it's also for employees.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of myth about this personal branding, and we tend to think that you have to be an influencer to have a personal brand. But maybe you can shed a little bit of light on this. But I think we all have a brand. You know, maybe there's that guy we remember from high school that was so good at this or so funny. That's kind of a brand as well. And I was just saying before you joined the chat, because we were having a little bit of technical problems, and saying, think about the people in your industry. Who are you thinking about? And those that come to mind are probably those that have the best personal brand. So maybe you want to share a little bit about, if you're a typical employee, what is a personal brand if you're in a company? And then we can dive into afterwards, maybe what is a personal brand if you're a solo entrepreneur?
Sure. I think first and foremost, we have to say that having a personal brand is a choice. So
Mm,
it's our choice to activate a brand and then move forward in creating it, expanding it, and really showcasing it. So if we are an employee, we are actually branding ourselves every day without probably even being fully aware of that, because we are in our company, we show each and every day our skills, our competencies.
mm,
We are interacting with people, we are networking with people, but also a lot of times we are selling ourselves, because if we want to change, move up in our career or change departments or expand our skills, so we are constantly showing what we are capable of. We also show what our values are. And probably one of the biggest things with a brand is that our brand is who we are as individuals professionally, but also partially privately, because values are the core in our lives, right?
yeah.
So values are what we use in life to make decisions, to make a lot of different choices. And so value is huge. And I think that's a big thing. And for employees, having your own personal brand is one thing, as I said, to showcase your skills and talents, but it also can be promoting the current company you're working in. So showing how that company fits with you individually as a person
Mm.
and why you work there. So it can be a mutual benefit, not only to the individual, but also to the company.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I just started my career, there was a guy, and I was back in the days, I was working as an engineer, and I was doing a workshop in Athens, and I had to learn about compressor stations and gas pumps. And And I was sitting in one department, and then I asked my boss, how do I get to know more about this? And he said, you got to go to this guy way up in a different department. So he had his own personal brand, you can say, within a huge company. So people knew this is the go-to guy if you ever want to have this solved. So, I mean, that was valuable for him having that brand because, it created more value than, you're just somebody amongst a lot of people. Not that you're not providing value, but it makes you a little bit more unique. So
Yes.
how can you be more intentional about your personal brand rather than just showing up for work, doing the work, delivering good work, solving some problems, but being really more deliberate about it so you stand out? How do you do that?
How do you do that? That's a good question. It's actually a tricky question. I would probably first start with that. I would divide a personal brand into one. That's you can't see my hand for some reason. One,
There you go.
which is the knowledge, right? So when we have the knowledge, that's actually the value. So when we share our knowledge and we are willing to share that knowledge with others, that's one of the first steps to building our brand. And that goes along with what you were saying, that people then know you. This is the person to go to when you need advice in marketing or when you need advice, for example, in some engineering solutions. Number two, I would also say it's highlighting your skills. So promotion, self-promotion is part of it, right? That you are not afraid to say, if someone asks, is there anyone who can help me with this? That you say, yes, I can do that. That's no problem. Again, this kind of sets it up that people start thinking of you first when there is an issue or there is a challenge with a certain aspect of work in that field, right? And then finally, I would also say it's networking. Personal branding, a huge part of personal branding is networking and telling people about what you're capable of and also showing them, because it's only one thing to say it. People always look at what you do. It's not just what you say. So can you back that up? What is the history of your expertise? What experience, what solutions have you already provided for other people? And then that works for you as well to stand out. But I think just being open about the fact that you can help. I'm here. We have to monitor that because we can end up helping people each day and every day and not be able to do our work. So there has to be a fine balance between that. Would you add anything to that? Do you
No,
have any...
I'm just, I'm agreeing a lot with you. And what I'm hearing is, being really intentional about what are, your core skills. And like you're saying, if people ask you, can you do this, this, and this, maybe you want to say no to some things. Not that you couldn't do it. I'm a speaker. I could, I think I could speak about pretty much anything. I'd probably, read 3 to 5 books, and I could deliver, I'd say pretty solid presentation about, at least 90% of the topics in the world if you gave me 2 weeks. But that doesn't make me an expert within that, and I shouldn't go out and just hunt every job. So being more intentional and maybe picking 3 to 5 core skills that you are say, this is what I'm good at, and branding yourself with that, because then you ultimately get to be really, really good and solve the problems the other people might not necessarily be able to do, because you didn't waste your time. I wouldn't say waste time, but getting good at a lot of things. But on the other hand, maybe your brand could also be, you know what, I'm pretty good at everything. So if you got a problem, come to me. I'll be a good guy to start off with. But again, that depends on what the brand you want to build is. I would preferably pick, a few core skills and go for that.
I agree with you. I think that with the brand, it's important, as you said, to be honest. And first and foremost, we have to be honest with ourselves. So I think a check-in, becoming aware of what we're good at, what our expertise is, where our strengths are, but also where our passion lies, right? What is it? Which path do we want to follow? If we're passionate about whatever we're doing, the brand kind of starts happening itself, and people also see that, because you can't fake that. You can't fake passion for a specific topic or a field of work. You can try to amplify it, but overall people will see through it, and it's very, very visible. I mean, we see it all the time on LinkedIn with posts, with videos, with content that people put out there. People who are very passionate are also very active because they want to share this. They want to help other people. They want to bring that value. So I think the brand is really also standing, it stands for what you do and why you do it. And you have to ask yourself these questions before you start creating a brand. Why is it that I want to work in this field? What is it that I want to bring to others? How am I going to do that? So here it is that strategy that comes into play.
Yeah, and it really is a win-win, because if you start working with something that you're not passionate about, and I've been there myself, you can get, I would say, pretty good, because I do have a lot of willpower, but I'm not going to be awesome at it. And by the way, I'm not going to enjoy the process as much. So what I'm doing today, I will watch a YouTube video on the things I love on a Sunday. I will sit down, write an article, write stuff just because I love it, not because sure, I have to force myself every now and then, but way not as much as I used to be. And I love posting videos on LinkedIn. Sure, I got to put it in the calendar too, but I love it, and that is just 90% less work because I love it. So I think you're very right about that.
I think
really
also
discovering the passion.
Yes, discovering the passion. But I think also what sets you apart is the moment you decide to be very authentic. And that, of course, also requires us to be a little bit more vulnerable. So to show that personal side in what we do, because no one else can copy that. We always talk about this when we collaborate as well, that people may work in the same field. They choose to come together and create something together or work together on a project. No person will do things exactly the same way. We're all individuals. So when we begin to show that in our brand, that is exactly what sets us apart from others, because it's us. It's the way we approach things. It's our work culture. It's our work ethic. These are our values. This is what we stand for. Our past experience and the way we view how we solve certain challenges and problems.
So, Kathy, we got a few comments on the chat here. Great. We have Natalia messing on. I'm going to read your comment in a little bit. Welcome, Natalia. And we have Andrea. Andre. So let me just read the comment here from Andrea. No, let me take Natalia first, and let me hear what your take on that is. It's really hard for me to narrow my brand, and as I'm passionate and interested about a lot of things, from science to language to marketing and design, psychology. I seriously can't choose. All right, so this is Natalia. And Andrea, you're saying, Natalia, you are spot on. I also share this multi-potentiality. So, Kathy, what is the doctor of LinkedIn personal branding and networking going to say to this one?
Ooh, that's really good. I would say that branding is a process, and this is also something we have to understand. There are core values that kind of set the stage, but we change constantly. We're also exploring different things. We also get interested in different things. I think having a lot of interest is a huge win, and I would say it's probably the best situation you can find yourself in, because there are plenty of people who struggle with just naming a passion or really saying, okay, this is what I like or enjoy or would love to pursue. So if you have an abundance, good for you. I do see where there could be a problem, because now you're thinking, which path should I follow? And, sometimes it's okay to do more than one thing. It can be very difficult because you have to then juggle. But sometimes it's okay to go in two directions instead of just one, and then kind of experimenting and seeing which one really gets, your adrenaline going, which one makes you feel like, I don't care if it's a Monday or a Friday, because I'm happy to get up and go to work, because this is what drives me. This is what fulfills me. This is where I feel that I'm alive. So I would say, limiting yourself in a way, yes, but also on the other hand, don't. Because if you look at a lot of people on LinkedIn, me included, I have quite a lot of things in my headline. And all those things I'm very passionate about. And I said to myself a while ago, I don't want to compromise, and I don't want to eliminate and just focus on one. So maybe there's a period of time that you will have more than one interest in very different fields, and that's okay. And actually, that is what makes you super unique, because if you can combine some soft skills with something that is very concrete, like architecture, engineering, or design, or different things, very few people will have that. So then we get into what I work with as well, which is called a talent stack, where you put these skills and talents that you have, and you're able to show and showcase yourself and sell yourself in a very unique way, because most of us don't have those skills. So it's also thinking about how you can put that together, like into a stack, and see what you come up with. So play around with it. Be free to explore that and see how that could work to your advantage. I don't know what it is that you want to do, if you want to be hired by a company or if you want to start your own company, but here's where the creativity sets in, and that's where you can see how that can work for you to your full advantage, because maybe you'll create a type of job or work that is very unique, or there's a specific company that's looking for these different types of skills, not just the kind of box set.
Yeah, so I just got a comment here from Pia, which says a little bit of noise when I'm talking. So I'm just going to try to take out my headset and see if that's better.
Good.
How's that going? Hear me?
Yes, it's a little bit quieter.
See, I don't know. Pia told me that knyta knäppalus när du talar. So there's a little bit of, I don't know, bad noise when I'm speaking. Thank you, Pia. Thank you for saying that. I took out my headset now. If maybe you want to let me know in the comments if it's better. So, and we have another comment here, and maybe I want to, leave a comment as well to the very good things you had about to Natalia. And Anna Albert, welcome to the show. And you are writing here, hi, I have doubts about my vulnerability. How to manage this part when you are part of a big company and there's a lot of competition. And Natalia is just writing, thanks, that makes a lot of sense. Great that you're getting some advice you can use. So what's your take on, Anna, here, vulnerability? I think we can all relate. How can we be vulnerable, still protect ourselves, and what's the boundary if you're in a company like Anna here, in a big company with a lot of competition? What's your best advice to, share a little bit more about yourself without going too much in?
I would say this might not be very original, but I would say you have to listen seriously, but listen to your instinct, because our instinct is always there and it's always telling us, and we tend to ignore it a lot of times, and we tend to push the boundaries with that. So what I mean by that is, deep down inside if this feels right to you or not. And if it doesn't, if there is just a shadow of a doubt, then I would probably say, don't go in that direction. And I haven't worked in huge corporations. There was a moment of my life where I did work in a corporation. It was a medium-sized corporation. And there we did not have this competition. We had more of a collaborative approach to working together. So I personally, it's hard for me to give you advice that I have, but the advice that I have in working with big companies, working with other entrepreneurs, where there's lots of competition as well, is that I rely on my instincts fully. And that has, saved me from a lot of situations where it probably wouldn't have been good to be too open or to reveal too much or to say too much also about myself personally. So there's a balance. I know that maybe this answer isn't exactly super clear, but that's what I would say, and that's what I would rely on, is that instinct.
Thank you. And we're getting here Pia saying it's better, the sound. Thank you for that, Pia. And Andre, you're writing here, thanks, Kathy. Fully follow your suggestions. So, man, very, very good. But yeah, vulnerability is a huge thing. It's so much up in the time, how to do it, and I can really relate to that, because a lot of people, come to me for challenges with being on stage, sharing personal stories. And and also giving a little bit about myself. And then people get surprised, when I say, you know what, I feel a bit anxious too when I share a video on LinkedIn. I get a little bit anxious when I go on stage, and then, people tend to open up. So maybe, an advice could be give a little bit and see how they respond. Typically people will kind of say, you know what, I can relate. And then you kind of go, instead of saying I was dead scared to speak, you're like, yeah, I got a little bit nervous. And, you get a feeling, you get a vibe, if you get a response, no, I don't got a problem at all. Okay, this guy is not open to sharing a little bit more vulnerability. So yeah, test it out. Maybe if you have a colleague one-to-one with coffee, but go first, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And Anna, you're writing super useful. Thank you. And we got Daniel. Daniel, I know you, buddy, from Israel. After you decided the field you want to develop, and after being visible on LinkedIn, what would be the first 2 to 3 things you would do in order to actually start developing the brand? Did you get the question, Kathy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me see what you got for me for my buddy Daniel.
So I would say that once you know and you're comfortable with your decision, I would start being active on LinkedIn. So that Asger and I are both huge advocates of LinkedIn. And I do believe that a personal brand, the place to really, really grow your brand, to show what you're capable of, to network, is LinkedIn. So I would start with content. And, the content that you choose is also part of your brand. So you have to also think about what content is good for you, what feels right to you, what you're comfortable with, whether it's in written form, whether it is videos, and then make a strategy plan for content so that it's not just kind of, haphazard. It has to be structured. And the way to do that is I would think about 6 to 12 ideas. And here we're dividing it into months. So that's 6 to 12 months where you come up with ideas for content. You write them down. You can make an outline for that, and you can put dates on it so that it is very structured, and you do your research on when it's best to post on LinkedIn. Currently, it is Tuesday through Thursdays, with Wednesdays being the best day, and it is in the morning to make your posts around between 9 and 11. And then you just kind of start executing. So you have a set of content, ideas, and topics, and then you go forward. Because the key with branding on any social media platform, but especially LinkedIn with the professional part of your personal brand, is you have to be consistent. If you're not consistent, it doesn't make any sense. And when you start, it's a big decision, because then you have to continue. It's the one-time first impression. Once you start posting, people start looking, and people look. They may not comment in the beginning. They may not make any moves as to likes, but people will see it. And with time, you will get engagement. And if you break that, then it's not a good thing for your brand. So once you decide that you're ready to move forward with the brand, you start posting your content, and you have to continue. Therefore, having a plan is good. Is that answering it, or would there
What
be
do you think, Daniel? Let me know what the personal branding expert Kathy here is telling you. What does it make sense? Being consistent with developing content, because we all have days where we're busy. I know you got kids and a wife. You got to take care of them as well, and we all struggle a little bit, I guess, with Corona. So, times are tough, but, being consistent, I would say, I want to add one thing to that, Kathy, because I think the main challenge for most people, like you say, is developing content on a regular basis. But, optimize your profile, have a great profile. So when people come to your profile and they spend 3 seconds, do they know what you do? If they got to spend 30 seconds, way too much. Have a friend or somebody look at it. Does that make sense? The 3-second rule kind of, okay, this is what Daniel does pretty much. It doesn't have to be all the exact things, but optimizing your profile, it doesn't have to take that long, a few hours. And go check out some of the people that have great profiles, see how they post it. I see a lot of people in communication, and when I check out their profiles, and I don't have a background in communication, I'm like, it's not a good profile, because they talk about themselves. And the thing you got to talk about is the problem you solve and how you solve it. It's all about the audience. It's not about you. Oh, I have this MBA and all that thing. Okay, you can leave that in, but it's just to create a little bit of credibility. But you're not talking to the audience, and I think that's a big problem.
That is true. Being clear about how you solve the solutions, that is definitely the key, because people are there to find out what you can do for them. That's the bottom line, right? That's what it is. So
we are selfish creatures.
And also, I would say your headline. Make sure that your headline is very clear on the services that you're providing and the solutions that you are providing, because the headline is also in the search engines. So when people are searching for potential collaborators, employees, whatever it is, they put in specific words, and that's what the search engine spits out. So then that you pop out. So if it's not very clear what it is that you do, again, as Asger said, I would also look at other people who are maybe in the same field to see what kind of wording they are using, so that it is working for you, so that you are showing up to those people that you want to work with.
And you can test it, put in the word and see how many comes up. You can do your own research. What do you want to be found on? And we got Gedjan, my good buddy, is joining. Well, I think that is a good advice. Thank you for joining in with great energy here. He's started making videos in English. He used to make them in Dutch. Couldn't understand it, but I knew he was a great guy. So awesome with your last video in English. Gedjan. So I just saw it. Awesome. And we have Maya. Great and specific advice. Good to have you, Maya. She has such an amazing energy. You got to meet her, Kathy. And then we have Natalia. She's writing here. Hotsuit has a free version where one can schedule posts in advance. So if one anticipates a period of being really busy, that could be a solution. Now, I want to add to that, Natalia, which is really, really great advice. We all have good days, and we have some days where we'll be, I'm not going to post, you're not in the mood. But if you use the Hotsuit, like you're saying, and you're having a killer day, and you added in, the 5 videos or 5 articles, you can probably, they're going to come up. They're going to pop up, because you had that great day. So use the Hotsuit to schedule your content. Great, great advice. And we have Asbjørn, my good friend. Good advice. Thanks. He's joining in. And he's here too, Asbjørn. So good to have you on, Asbjørn. Let me know about personal branding. This guy, last year, you had 1,000 likes, and I think you had about 300 comments. So one post went viral. I don't know if you have, what did you do? Maybe you want to leave a comment. Why do you think your post went so crazy? I don't think I've ever seen so many in Denmark get so many likes and so many comments on that. Let's see what he says.
What was the content?
Let's hear it from Asbjørn in the comments. Let's see what he's got for us. Now, all right, we talk a lot about branding, but we also talk about networking. Give me, what is networking? We talk about it all the time. What is networking? Why should we do it? What's the benefit? Break down some of the core elements in networking, and maybe specifically to LinkedIn.
Yes. I can just say one thing, because I was thinking about this vulnerability as well, and we'll jump into networking in 1 second. I think vulnerability is also when you share some of the challenges and how you overcame them. So showing solutions to what you have done to overcome certain challenges. So you're showing a bit of vulnerability, but not completely, because you're also showcasing your skills and talents and how you were able to solve those challenges and problems. So that's one way to do it. The other one is also storytelling. So saying, for example, how you came to be where you are today. So being able to talk about your why and why you are where you are today and how you got there is also a way to show vulnerability. It doesn't always have to be that we expose ourselves with our emotions and our feelings and maybe struggles that we have currently if we don't feel comfortable. So that was just that.
I think great advice. It's basically asking for help. If you're on an 8 to 4 job, saying, I'm a little bit stuck, you might give me a few books or a little hints here, rather than spending your entire weekend without asking. Maybe just like click that link. So Asbjørn is saying what they tie so well into our talk about vulnerability. And thank you also to you, Andrea, about mentioning Brené Brown. She has a great TED Talk on vulnerability. And Asbjørn is saying personal vulnerability. That is what made his post go viral. It's actually, I can mention because I remember it was about cancer, the fear of actually, not being here anymore. And that really struck with people. He says,
Yes.
I had a near death experience and I told about what I did and how it changed my life. We
Wow.
don't always have those experiences, but if you got the guts, to share that, people can relate, and it's very rare. People are going to kick somebody lying down. But people really resonated with that. That was more than 1,000 likes, at least a couple hundred comments. So personal vulnerability really, really works. But as you said, Kathy, you want to tune it into the environment you're in, right?
But that's amazing courage, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's, not only sharing what you're going through, but also giving people the possibility to relate if they have been in that situation or if they're going through that. Wow. I mean, that's powerful.
So Natalia
Yes.
is back with a great comment here. Before moving on to networking, can you
Yes.
recommend a good book about personal branding, Kathy? I feel there are a lot of so-called experts, and it's hard to tell the good ones from the gurus. Now, do you have a book or two maybe that is worth reading?
You know what? I have been on the search for a very good personal branding book. So that's an excellent question. I have taken from a lot of people who I think have very strong, fantastic brands from their, podcasts, from the books that they have already published. I haven't come across one book that I would say is strictly for me, at least. If
Mm,
someone has, I would love for them to share it with us. Uh, that is the book to go to. I think it's still a field that's quite new and changing all the time. So I think there's a lot of room for people to write and express what they feel is working for them. I
mm,
think the fact that marketing has been so strong and branding and marketing has been focused on companies themselves and on products and so we have now ventured into individuals having brand, which isn't such an old kind of topic. It's quite new. So I think therefore maybe. But I would definitely say that you have to kind of combine it. For me, people like Brene Brown, people like Tony Robbins, people like Gary Vaynerchuk,
mm,
uh, Seth Godin. I mean, those are people who are in different fields. They talk about various things, but they have been incredibly strong with their brands and creating
mm,
their brands. Um, there are also plenty of people who, when I look on LinkedIn, who are smaller companies, medium-sized companies, people who work in all different types of fields, but they get the idea of sharing their experience and sharing their knowledge with people on a platform like LinkedIn. So not one place. I would say there are different sources. And I think if you're interested in that and you're interested in giving value and growing also your own brand, you will start seeing it in various places and probably in your network already. You have quite a lot of people. But if there is anyone who has a really good book, please share because I'm also looking for that.
It's for everybody listening here. Kathy is an expert, but as you can see, she is sharing that there are still things to learn and grow. So if you got that great book out there that helped you, why not leave a comment down below so we can all get smarter?
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned a lot of great people. And, for you, Natalia, and everybody listening, I think go check the people. Do they have the record? So they, are they living by it? Sometimes I see people saying, I'm a LinkedIn expert on marketing. And then I go check their profile. I'm like, you're not engaging with anybody. You know, um, that doesn't really work to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go check out if they're really, doing the things they're saying. So,
I think it's also, I think we're all learning constantly. And I think it's also a lot of it is trial and error because a
mm,
brand is a personal brand, as the name states, it is personal. So it has
yeah,
to work for us. It has to work for the people that we want to reach, the people we want to work with. And so I don't know if there's like a single formula. There are definitely things that we need to do if we want to grow a brand, if we want to showcase ourselves and we want to share value. But it is personal. So the approach that we have, the way we produce content, what we say there, what topics we choose, that is quite individual.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I think it's all about testing and trying a lot of things, and yeah, see where it takes you and see what people respond to, and yeah, what you're really passionate about. Awesome, Natalia. Awesome. All of you participating. It's so great. It's so much more fun. The first 5 minutes, nobody was on the chat. So it's great to have you guys on and adding tons of value with these great
Yay.
questions. It's so
Yes.
amazing. So, Kathy, we kind of moved
Networking.
into the second part, networking, because I know it's big on networking, and it's fun and it's useful. Let me hear what you got for us.
Yes. So networking, I would say I really started learning about it when I came to Denmark, because I thought, why is everyone talking about networking? Why are the Danes so big on it? What does it mean? How do you do it here? And what I found out is, I don't know if it's only, relating to Denmark, but I definitely started thinking about what the word means itself. And I have a background in linguistics. So this for me was like a first step. And when I looked at the word, I thought, we have net and working. So what does that, the visual picture I got was a fisherman actually making a net. And how long does it take to make a good net? I mean, if you're skilled, it will take you less time than if you're a beginner and you're just kind of jumping into this. So making a net takes a lot of time. And then you have the second part of networking, which is actually working. And this is so true, because it is building a net of people who you want to engage with, who you want to work with, who you want to provide value, but you also would like them to reciprocate and give you value back, so that you can learn and grow together. But it is work. It doesn't happen overnight. It is something that is, again, a process like a personal brand. It takes time. And to have meaningful relationships as a network, it's not going to happen quickly. So you have to put in the effort in order to pick those fruits. And I have some words that are key for me with networking. One is value, that we provide value to the people we connect with, the people we work with, the people we want to meet. The moment we reach out to them, we come with value. This is what I could help you out with, or this is how I could solve a problem that I see that you might be facing. Or even, just saying that if there's anything that I could help you with, this is what I specialize in. It's all value the moment you reach out to someone, and then you continue that as the relationship proceeds. Number two is trust. And the way we establish trust in networking is through what we stand for. And this goes directly with your personal brand. So brand and networking, I would say, are buddies. They are so connected with one another. And people start to trust you. Trust is huge in Denmark. Trust is a very, very big thing. And people start to trust you again with time. They start trusting you once they see that you walk, the talk, that you're not just spitting out words that have no meaning behind them, that you actually do what you say. The next thing is relationship. The networking is a relationship. It's not just clicking a button and getting another person to be, in your LinkedIn profile. So it takes time, it takes effort, it's a give and take. It's like a personal relationship, right? With friends, with romantic relationships that we have, professional relationships at work. LinkedIn is part of that. And then the last one I have, and we can add on to that, but these are the ones that have worked for me, and these are the ones that I have experienced, is authenticity, right? It's being who you are, so that when we meet, in person, you will think, well, that's not who I see on LinkedIn. That's a completely different person. They don't behave the same way. They don't say the same things. So being real, being really who you are professionally and also personally, because that personal part always comes out, right? I mean, the way we speak to people, the way we laugh, the kind of jokes we make, a lot of times that is also, maybe not the jokes, but, the humor, sense of humor, because that can vary from situation to situation. But the way we approach life is it comes through also in networking. So that would be
Yeah, well, and we got a comment here from Gideon. A shout out to you, Asker, for organizing this and having an interesting guest with Kathy sharing her knowledge. Thank you for joining the chat, Git, and thank you for supporting here with a great comment. It's always nice to get a little bit of support when we're doing this live chat. I think that was a great metaphor with the net. It made me think about a net. You also have to repair it every now and then. You kind of build it, but then there's a hole and you got to go back, repair it. And it made me think, when you start now, you have a little net, you made a few, but it doesn't really capture a lot of people. But then as you grow, it's exponentially expanding your network. So maybe you're not going to reap the big benefits in the very beginning, but once you keep going, that net becomes really wide and you can get a lot more. So it's better, to have one big net than a few small ones. So really kind of, build that. I think that's a great metaphor, really. And like you said, it's about trust. We got to believe in the people and show up consistently. So yeah, it is work. And what happens when you do the work? You get paid eventually for something. I don't necessarily money. It can be a lot of things you can exchange in a network, but it might be a job. It might be a knowledge. It might be a book. When people add me on LinkedIn, I will give them a voice note typically, and I will also share with them. If you need a few tips, advice, book recommendation, anything, to get you started, I'll be happy to help. Of course, if you want a big package, you're gonna pay, but I will give value also because I just like it. So I think that's a big thing about networking. Yes, it's been very interesting. Anna's writing, great, you're still with us. Anna's writing here, yes, it's been very interesting. I love the metaphor of fishing net. So really, it's about, like you're saying, combining the brand and the networking, because once you have your brand and your network, people start talking, oh, Kathy, she's the one, with personal branding for solopreneurs and expats. That's part of your brand, who you're reaching. My brand is I'm trying to reach in Denmark people who have a foreign background and get trained in public speaking. Now, I could go for the Danes because I'm Danish, and sure, I get them as well every now and then, but I haven't seen that many people that go specifically for that group. So I'm kind of, talking that group. And that's why I make my videos in English. And yeah. So I don't know, Kathy, if you got a lot more for us, or maybe you want to leave us, with, if you have a top three for LinkedIn to get started with brand and network, what would that be? Leaving the audience that are listening here with something simple. What should that be?
You are really putting the pressure on me today.
Yeah, I am, because I know you can do it. You can deliver.
See, the thing I would say though is that, are we talking about people who are ready to move forward with their brand, or people who are thinking
I think somebody that says, I want to use LinkedIn and I want to kind of, put my message out there, but I don't really know how to. I'm not really maybe sure what it is exactly. I kind of have a rough idea, kind of like, we had in the comments here with Natalia.
I would say, first just sit down, make a list of what it is that you would like to give people in the sense of value of your expertise. Make a brainstorming list. That would be one. One that I also would recommend is really being aware that if you started, this is something that you have to continue in order for it to work for you. Then I would say, if you're ready and you have an idea, just make a post. Because that's the first step. We have all been there. You mentioned that the first time you did it, it was scary and it's not comfortable. It is something that can definitely make us think, what am I doing? And why did I do this? The first time I posted an article, because I do a lot of the written word, so that works for me. Sure. I posted an article on LinkedIn. I shut the computer and I was really like Brene Brown when she did her TED Talk. I thought, what have I done? And I definitely don't want to look. I don't want to see what's happening there. So we know when we talk about these things, we have also been there. It is something that is intimidating and scary. And I think sometimes it can be even more so than other social media because it's a professional platform. The fact of the matter is, you have to try it and do it and jump into the deep water. Most of the time, I haven't come across people who are rude or unkind on LinkedIn.
No.
I definitely have come across people who, and even you can even say, this is my first post. You will probably find out that people will be supportive. They will encourage you. And there also is the possibility to show some of your vulnerability, right? That this is something you're doing for the very first time. But the only way to get your brand going, to start networking, is to be active. Because when you're active, you show up on people's feeds. People will start, coming onto your profile more and more. So having a brand in that sense and posting works to your advantage, depending on what it is that you're looking for. If you want to grow your network, if you want to be hired by someone, if you're starting a business. So this is definitely a good thing for you personally, for your professional identity and your career. But I would say, think about what it is that you want to do, make a list. Number two, I would definitely make an outline plan of your content, because the thing that can be overwhelming is, okay, fine, I did it. I finally did it. I posted, but now what? And then you start, as we said, we are all busy. We have professional lives, we have personal lives. But if you structure it before you start the process of posting, and then you have an idea of different topics that you will be posting over the next 6 months, and you post once a month, then this also won't be overwhelming. It won't feel so uncomfortable. So that would be two. And then number three, do it. I mean, Nike has probably the greatest slogan, which I apply to, whether it's health, it's profession, it's personal life. The only way to find out if it works, the only way to find out if it's going to work for you as well, and you will, receive whatever outcome you're looking for, is for you to do it. And as I said, we know it's scary, we know it's intimidating, but we've done it. We're still here, and we're still doing it. And you also have about 3 million people active on LinkedIn who are also doing it. So this means that nothing bad will happen. The only thing that can happen is that you can find out, maybe this doesn't work for me exactly. Maybe I'll try this. And you're learning. And that's the most wonderful thing. And people appreciate the fact that you are putting out value, for sure. On LinkedIn, people are very appreciative of that.
Yeah, that's true. And you say you are learning, and I'll share a little secret with you here before we finish. And that is when I first started posting. I knew there weren't going to be a lot of people who saw my videos, read my articles. Maybe I'd have between 3 to 7 likes, and it's often not a comment. So I would, to some extent, do it for my own reason, to get the training, to get exposed to putting myself out there. And now more people are interacting, and I'm feeling a little bit of responsibility to keep putting stuff out there, because people are saying, you're actually helping me with this. So in the beginning, do it a little bit for yourself. Obviously have in mind that you want to help people, but there's nothing wrong in doing it for your own learning. And in the beginning, probably not a lot of people are going to engage anyway, but it will come over time. And we have our last comment here from Daniela Pacheco. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm more or less new in Denmark, and I'm a big fan of the difference. I find people are way more open to first contacts for networking. So, Daniela, you are saying the Danes are open. We always hear we are so closed, but apparently we have one here that says we are great at networking. So that's awesome. Yeah, I think my own experience, I'm a Dane, so I'm super biased, obviously. I think Danes can be a little bit cold in the beginning, but once you open up and you get a little talk, they tend to be quite open. But anyway, it's always great to have somebody that's not Danish saying it rather than me without any credibility being a Dane, right? So, Kathy, I think it's been great. It's been great having you on here. I learned a ton, about networking, about personal branding. And what would be the best way for people who want to get in touch with you and maybe learn more about what you do, your services, or just follow you? How would they do that?
Well, this is one of the things as well on LinkedIn. I would love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find my link. Actually, Asger has been so great, and he put it on the post. So you can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. It's a good way if you want to expand your network as well. The one thing that I always stress and I always ask you to do, please write a message. This is such a big thing. The moment you write a message to someone that you're reaching out to who you don't know, and you just say a little bit about why you want to connect, the chances of that person connecting with you is so much higher than if you just press the button of connecting. The other thing is, if you're connecting with someone, we also want to know why you want to connect with us. So what are you looking for? What is the possibility that we have to exchange information, or how can I help you out? So please do so. So you find me on LinkedIn, most definitely, and then you will also see what I do. My website is also there, and you can also look at the website, which is www.activeaction.bk, and there's quite a bit of information about what I do with my work with the internationals and companies, municipalities, universities, hiring them.
Kathy does workshops, she does talks, she helps experts, personal branding, give her a message and you can take it from there. She's a great inspiration to me. I loved having you here. And Daniela, she's saying, I said networking, friendship's another thing, laughing out loud. Okay, thanks. All right, you got me there, Daniela. Anyway, what excellent advice, Cecilia Libra. What excellent advices. I will follow them for sure. You are amazing, guys. Thank you, Asger and Kathy.
Thank
Continue
you.
with your great work. Thank you, Cecilia. Great to have you join the chat here. And Daniela Pacheco, always try hard is what Ariana says. Anyway, thank you to all of you. A big thank you to you, Kathy. Thank you to all of you that joined and left a comment or just watched it, stayed with us. Anyway, take care. I wish you all a great weekend.
Thank you very much. Such a pleasure.